Hey everybody, what do you say? JJ59 here, Gannon, coming at you with another video. It's been a little over a week, I guess, since I made a video, and right now I'm standing above my coffee table, where I usually hang out and watch a little TV, listen to music, and look at my cards. If you look carefully at the assortment of cards here, you might be able to see that I've gone down a couple of rabbit holes, and I don't think I'm really going to have time to talk about that today because I want to focus on one thing. By the way, if you hear some noises in the background, we're getting some new kitchen cabinets put in, and the guys are working in the kitchen, so you might hear some whatever, drilling and banging and other wonderful sounds. So, what I want to talk about today is the 1969 Topps Don Clendenon card. Okay. Hope you're enjoying these Orson Welles camera angles here. Don Clendenon in 1969 had two cards because, Don Clendenon came up with the Pirates and played with them from roughly 1961 through 1968. His first full season was 1962, and he kind of had an off year in 1968, and the Pirates didn't protect him in the expansion draft that year, and he was picked up by the Montreal Expos. However, the Expos were looking to assemble a young team, and Clendenon was, a little over 30, and they decided to trade him to the Houston Astros, along with Jesus Alou, one of the famous Alou brothers, Felipe, Matty, and Jesus. So Don Clendenon and Jesus Alou went to the Houston Astros, the Astros traded Rusty Staub, who was only 24 at the time, to the Expos. Expos were really happy about this trade, but Don Clendenon was not. He didn't want to play for Harry Walker, who had previously managed the Pirates, and Clendenon didn't like his style, and there were personality clashes, and so Clendenon announced that he was going to retire. Well, the Astros were somewhat upset about this, and Bowie Kuhn decided to step in, and he sent down Monty Irvin, who was working with the commissioner's office, to go down and talk to Clendenon. And he managed to talk him into coming back to baseball, but Clendenon still did not want to play for the Astros, so he reported to the Expos. So what they decided to do, the Expos, took Clendenon, and they sent the Astros $100,000 plus two players, one of whom was actually the pitcher, Jack Billingham. And Clendenon, I think he went down to the minors just very briefly to sort of get a condition. And then when he reported back to the team, the parent team, he really wasn't, seeing a lot of action. He's only being played part-time. And as it happened, the Mets approached him and the Expos, and they worked out a deal. And Don Clendenon went to the New York Mets, and he became an integral part of the Mets championship season. As you know, the Mets won the World Series in 1969, defeating the Orioles in 5 games. Clendenon actually had he was being platooned originally with Ed Kranepool at first, but then he sort of took over the job for the most part. And he got really hot in September as the Mets chased the Cubs for the Eastern Division title. I think he hit something like 7 home runs that month, and he may have only hit 12 all season. I'd have to look that up again. It was either he hit 7 or 5 home runs that month, but a large chunk of his home runs were hit in September. And then he went on. The Mets beat the Braves in the league championship series, but Clendenon actually didn't play in that because the Braves. Clendenon was a right-handed hitter, and the Braves started right-handed pitchers. So Gil Hodges, who liked to platoon his players, let Ed Kranepool start in the championship series. But Clendenon, saw a lot of action in the '69 World Series against the Orioles. The Orioles had a lot of left-handed pitchers, and Clendenon ended up getting 5 hits in the series, a single and a double, and 3 home runs. And he was voted the most valuable player of the 1969 World Series. If you look at the back of the cards, the Expos card was the first one that was issued, followed by the Houston one. You can see it says at the end of the little bio, it says, the Pirates lost one of their big guns when Donn was picked up by Montreal in the expansion draft. And if you look at the back of the Houston card, they say that Donn was drafted by Montreal and then traded to Houston last winter. Another difference about the cards, if you look on where Don Clendenon's name is in the box, you see that the N is kind of whited out. Now, that's not paper loss. That was intentionally whited out because it would seem that the N was really an M. On the Houston card, they don't white it out. And of course, it should be, Clendenon should end with an N. A few words about Don Clendenon. He was born into a highly educated, middle-class family in Atlanta. His father was actually a double PhD. However, sadly, the father died very young at 32 of leukemia, and this was before Don was even a year old. His mother remarried a man named Nish Williams, who was actually a former Negro League baseball player who played about 13 seasons in the Negro Leagues. And he opened up his own business, a restaurant, which was frequented by many of the players that he played with years ago, including people like Satchel Paige and also Sad Sam Jones, two pitchers who made it to the majors. And they also worked with Nish Williams to help Don with his batting. Don was a multi-talented, all-around athlete. He played football and basketball. The Browns were interested in signing him when he got out of college, and he was even offered a contract by the Harlem Globetrotters. Nish Williams wanted him to go into baseball, and Don was actually a little worried about going into baseball because he was thinking long term, and he didn't really feel that baseball afforded black athletes, a long future in the game, as there were no manager or general manager jobs at the time extended to black players. When he got out of college, he actually taught for a while. He taught 4th grade, and he did some coaching. And throughout his career, sometimes he held jobs even while in the off season, But even while he was playing, he he wanted to get his law degree and was accepted at Harvard University and began attending classes there. But it kind of became too much. But later on, he did go to law school and get his degree to Duquesne University. Sadly, toward the end of his life, he started using drugs, cocaine, for a while, but he got himself clean. However, while he was being tested and examined, they took some blood samples, and then they realized that he also had the leukemia, that his father had. However, Clendenon battled this and lived with it for 20 years, and he passed away in 2005. I have some of his other cards here. His 1962 rookie. Nice card. And also his 1965 card. Let me just put it over here. His 1965. And also his 1966. I don't have his 1960. I probably do have his 68. I know I have his 1970, but I just picked these up recently. His 1967 card is actually the card that the 69 photo were taken from. However, if you look at his 67 card, he's further back in the picture. You see more of his body, but it's the same picture. It's a very, very expensive card, and I'm, working my way up to one day getting it. But right now, it's literally not in the cards. All right, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. There were a number of other things I wanted to cover, but this video is now approaching. It's over 12 minutes. And the only bulletin I do have for you is that I finally broke into Mike Mr. October's Reggie Bar. Okay, I just had a craving one night, and it was staring me in the face, and there was nothing I could do. So I do have the wrapper, and I will save that. May not be an original Reggie wrapper, but it is, a Reggie wrapper. I'm going to have to ask you, Mike, where you got these. They were good, although I don't want to start a Reggie Bar habit. Okay, guys, if you stuck around this long, I appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.